Upfront and Outspoken with Bob Williams. If you love the Constitution,
man is not free unless government is limited.
If you love freedom,
as government expands, liberty contracts.
If you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
And welcome back. This is Upfront Outspoken. I'm your host, Bob Williams, with you here on this Thursday. Once again, we have assembled our panel, and I want to let the panel know that in 2 weeks we are going to be having a new member joining us. He is an expert on international relations who is currently living and working in Saudi Arabia. That's all I'm going to tell him for now. I want to surprise him when he comes on. But joining me right now, of course, is Arjuna Krishnadas, Fred Brauer, Jonathan Wolfman, Ed Tyll, IQ al-Rassooli. We had hoped to get the good doctor on, but we are trying. Once again, gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Bob, from Washington.
Good morning, Bob, from Spain.
Good morning, Bob.
Hey, Ed.
Just AJ.
Yep. Well, let's get right into it. You know, we're all hearing more and more and more about ISIS. Now, we're going to start it out right there. I know there's a lot of questions that IQ wants me to ask, but I want to get into this first. You know, 45 people were burned alive. They were Christians out of Egypt. We're hearing more about beheadings. You know, I want to get, first I want to start out with IQ's reaction to what is going on with these new events. IQ. Did we lose him?
Bob, I will tell you, the first... Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
IQ, are you there?
I'm here. Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah.
My hero.
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go.
Yeah,
there we
IQ.
Go. Okay, IQ, I had asked you, I wanted you to start the conversation out, I asked about the, currently we've had the, what was it, Ed, correct me if I'm mistaken, it's 45 people that were just burned alive, the Christians out of Egypt. We've had several beheadings, and I want to get IQ's reaction to those before we go on further into the discussion.
Well, what do you expect from Islam? This is exactly what Islam is about. You see, what Obama is doing, what Holder is doing, what his administration, this corrupt administration is doing, is misleading the American public by telling them that ISIS, ISIL, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, all of these despicable groups of so-called terrorists. They're not terrorists. These are Muslims. And they're telling us, when they cut the head of somebody, this is what the Quran teaches us. This is what Muhammad teaches us. This is what Muhammad did 1400 years ago. And yet, our leaders are literally deceiving us, both in Europe and America. I am upset. I'm always upset about this subject. I'm not upset with the Muslims. Not at all. Why? Their agenda for 1400 years has been the same. What is it? To control every human being and make them either a Muslim or subservient to Sharia law. This has been declared 1400 years ago by Muhammad. And it is declared in every single pulpit, in every single mosque, in every Friday, in 180 countries, in 80 languages. And yet, our leaders tell us, no, this is not Islam. Well, it is Islam. Erdogan, in the last meeting he had with the European Union leaders, he told them, what the hell are you talking about? Moderate Muslims, extremist Muslims, radical Muslims. This is bullcrap. Islam is Islam. Well, he is telling them the facts of life, and our leaders telling us, no, Erdogan doesn't know what he's talking about. The Imams don't know what they're talking about. This is not Islam.
Now, I want to interject here one thing. I've been doing a lot of research since our last get-together here 2 weeks ago, and it seems that more and more is coming out in that what ISIS is doing, and in the way they're doing it, goes back 1,400 years ago, when Islam first came on the board, where they were pretty radical, so to speak, in what they're doing. Now, Ed, I want to bring you in on this because you're just as educated as anybody else is here. And have you been noticing lately in the news that many people that have come out about Islam have all referred back to the fact that Islam is indeed following the track it did some 1,400 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, yes, right? Let me answer this more directly to IQ as well, based on what he just said. The attitude of the modern Muslim, the attitude of the jihadist, you're saying pretty basically the same, right? Some people are more motivated, but they're getting the same instruction. In reaction to Obama's speech yesterday, even though the doctor isn't here, a moderate Arab organization said, this is not true. There are two different mindsets. The president yesterday, I'm sure he upset you, IQ, but he said, don't dignify this as religion. This is extremism, just like when a crazy Southern Christian attacks an AIDS victim's family and says, I have the Old Testament on my side. They say, I'm not a radical. Right? So the president was welcomed yesterday by some who said, thanks for helping us, because we can't get good Muslims to come forward. They don't think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. They think when they open their mouth, the police or the authorities will say, get in here, and never open the door again. So that's the needle. You say, IQ, if I have you right, there's no hole to thread here. There is no difference. So where do people like the doctor who's not here, the folks who spoke yesterday, they certainly don't make a big impression. They certainly not a household name. Why do they persist that these people and us are not the same? We're not being told the same thing. Please help me understand that, because when he said it was deliberate. He was deliberate. He was deliberate. Go ahead. What are you going to say now? It's simple.
Yes, you're right. They are denying. They are in denial, because if they admit that what ISIS is doing, what ISIL is doing, what Boko Haram is doing, what Hamas is doing is the truth, Islam is finished.
Why? No, it would win. What do you mean finished? It would win.
No, it can't win.
If they,
that means it wakes up. No, it wakes up 80% of humanity who's not a Muslim, that they are going to be destroyed by Islam.
And
how
tell
could
me,
they win?
What other group in the world?
Can I answer the question, please? Can I come on this, please, Bob? Come in on this.
Who will take the casualties? Yeah, go ahead, Archie. Go ahead. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that although Cameroon and the European leaders may be stupid.
Yeah, I have a little
Hello,
bit.
Can you hear me?
I have a little bit of trouble when everybody talks and nobody answers anything. So the question.
Yeah, I'm answering your question, please. If I could have a little time to speak.
All right. Well, one second. Whoa, one second. Whoa. The good doctor.
I'm not in the mood to listen to a story. I asked him a fucking question. This has been on the fucking agenda.
Excuse me, Ed,
I know, but I want to let everybody know.
No, excuse me.
The good doctor is here.
IQ has the balls to answer it. You don't need to take me to the fucking ballet to listen to the history.
Excuse me, Ed, you're being very abusive for no reason. Could you please allow Bob to moderate the discussion?
How do you people? There's no fucking abuse. There's no fucking abuse. We're grown-ups, goddammit. Answer the fucking question.
Could you be I'm answering the question. Please, could you be quiet and allow me to speak and allow Bob to moderate the discussion?
I don't call talking an answer. I don't call talking a fucking answer. Talking is not an answer.
The good doctor.
There's something wrong with you today.
The good doctor has joined us. Dr. Naqvi, you walked right into a hailstorm.
Sick and tired of this shit, doctor. I'm sick and tired of listening to fucking bullshit every week about Islam. Either the president's right, there's two groups, or the president's wrong, IQ is right. Now, I got to
excuse me, Bob, but you've allowed everybody else a moment to speak, and I would like to comment on what IQ said, if I could be allowed, please.
Whatever. Shut the fuck up with the false humility and answer
Look, Ed, please, can you stop swearing and shouting and not allowing other people to speak? I'm finding this intolerable. Bob, please help.
Fucking no and fucking no again. You can't handle me? Hang up the fucking phone.
Ed, stop trying to dominate the conversation by swearing and shouting. This is not a rational discussion. I would like to answer some of IQ's points, if you would let me.
Fucking question from here. Go fuck yourself.
Bob, could you please disconnect Ed, because he's being...
I'm going to be honest.
And disconnect me, Arjun, so go fuck yourself.
The thing is I want to make this clear. This is a very open discussion, and whatever.
You're goddamn right it is. Okay. I'm not going to listen to this shit for a year. You either answer the fucking question, Arjuna, you don't, and stop crying like a fucking baby about it.
Okay, let me finish, Ed, please. Like I said, this is a very open forum, and everybody has to understand that even though you may not like Ed's tone, he has a right to his opinions. This is, being on our radio stations is no different than being on Sirius. So whatever language is used is allowable under law. So
what are you, abused, Arjun? Go to an abuse home. Why don't you go get somebody to put a handkerchief on your head and tell you were abused? Shut the fuck up and answer.
The thing is we all need to find the answers out. And Ed at time, and I am going to stick up for Ed. And many of you may not like it, but the point is that we have heard the same rhetoric time and time again.
It always starts out with some kind of fucking story about it. I don't want to hear any fucking stories. We're asking questions. It's journalism. It's not story time.
Exactly. And I have to agree with you, Ed. It is journalism. We need answers. Last week...
Let me tell you something about it. I don't want to hear anything from you. I want an answer. You got an answer, Arjun? Put it out there and stop crying.
I've got an answer, and I'm trying to speak. If you could possibly stop swearing at me for a second. What I'd like to say is that although, as IQ says, it's not simply a matter of blaming the Muslims. The people who are the real problem are our elected leaders. And these people are guilty of high treason. While you can make an argument for those political leaders in Europe to be simply stupid, the person that we have in the White House, Barack Hussein Obama, is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, and he is acting in accordance with Muslim Brotherhood principles. Particularly,
my friend, talk to yourself. I asked you
the question
in my ear. You're bullshitting in my ear. Answer the fucking question. It starts like this. The answer is, Ed, the answer is, Ed, the answer is, not once upon a time.
Bob, Ed is simply swearing and shouting and not allowing me to participate in this discussion. I don't understand why this is happening, but you need to disconnect him.
Answer. This is the problem with your
radio show, because this is degenerating into an Ed shouting and swearing match.
You know why people don't want to hear your religion? Do you know why we're sick and tired of
religion? What religion do you think I am, Ed? What religion do you think I am?
Like I give a shit. What was the question to you? What was the question to you?
You were just complaining about me putting my religion on you, but you can't even name it. So I really don't know what you're on or what you're on about, Ed. You're simply swearing and shouting. You're quite contrast to IQ, who has something to say. You have nothing to say. You're simply swearing and shouting.
Whoa. Stop right there. Stop right there. Let me.
You're full of shit. There's no difference. Answer.
Ed asked a very legitimate question, okay? Even though you may not like the style in which he presented it, he did issue a very sufficient question. Is Obama right in what the question?
So much.
Now, God damn it, everybody, shut the fuck up!
All I'm getting is shouting, swearing. And
now
I am going to get pissed.
Times, you fucking big baby. Maybe you don't know the answer.
Maybe
that's the problem. Maybe we're wasting our fucking time with you.
I am going to get pissed here. Now, everybody, shut the fuck up for a minute.
It's not everybody shut up. It's Ed shut the fuck up.
I'm telling everybody sit back for a second.
The question there.
I'm telling everybody sit back for a second. Let me finish my statement, please. All right. The question is presented. President Obama made a statement. Was he right in what he said? Was he wrong? We're hearing out of everybody storytelling. Ed's right. For 1 full year, that's all we've heard. The question on the table is President right that there are two sides of...
He said it, right? He made a clear argument, Arjun.
Right.
Maybe you can listen to President Obama and not me.
Oh, you mean the two sides because of the Crusades, because of the Spanish Inquisition?
What's wrong with that? You didn't mention any of that shit yesterday. What's wrong with you? You didn't listen to him yesterday? You didn't even listen to him yesterday, did you? He didn't mention a word about it. He didn't say one word about the Crusades.
And the Spanish Inquisition.
He said nothing about the Crusades.
Islamic terrorism, and I heard the clip earlier about him saying that Islamic terrorism has nothing to do with religion. Yeah, well, this is clearly bullshit. But he's acting in accordance with the tenets of your horseshit.
I'm glad I invited the doctor on to listen to your fucking bullshit. This is the worst. This is the most childish, ridiculous thing. You don't know shit. The guy spoke yesterday as the world leader at a convention. You don't even know what he said. You Saeed
Qutb of the Muslim Brotherhood, and he's bringing the
probably not knowing what you say you are. I don't even believe your credentials. I don't think the audience should listen to you. I think they should discount everything you say because you sound like a fraud and a.
Takes practical steps to organise a movement for freeing man, and by freeing it, he means
see you, Arjun. Have a nice day.
Terrific. All right.
Arjun is the great speaker. Well, how do you pay attention to an issue you don't know what the president said yesterday?
What I did is I have to agree with you. Okay, now let me finish. Now I disconnected Arjuna. You're right. Okay,
he's a waste. He's a waste. He doesn't even watch the news.
Well, like I said, you and I and probably the rest of the panel probably did indeed listen to President Obama. So. So let's present the question to
IQ knows, and then get the people on the show who know something to say something and keep that clown at it. I mean, I don't mind him. He's got an interesting voice. But every time he starts to talk, he doesn't, and he loves having this issue. He wants to gas bag and complain the rest of his life that he's a victimized Muslim.
Anyhow, our IQ, can you address what Ed was stating previously? Ed, can you rephrase your question?
Yeah, go ahead, IQ. What the president is deluding himself, you're going to say, or his people that agreed with him, they said the benefit of what he did yesterday was he did not tag a religion. He says if you tag their religion, you're going to get everybody in that religion who was on the fence to come against you because you've declared war on their religion. So I wanted to get some thought on, is he an idiot? Or does he really have an idea here?
No, he's not an idiot, but he's wrong. I'm answering you immediately and without hesitation. He is absolutely wrong.
Why?
They are not terrorists. These people are following Islam. This is exactly what Muhammad did 1400 years ago. What ISIS is doing, and they keep repeating it again and again and again. Ladies and gentlemen, they are telling the world, we are following Muhammad to the letter. Letter by letter, word by word, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. And here you have Obama saying no. Well, Obama is wrong. That's it. That's all. It's very simple. It really is not complicated. Every verse in the Quran.
Here's why I feel it's complicated. Here's why I feel it's not simple. And I would like to explore this. I try to explore it with our colleague there. This involves 1.6 billion. Yesterday was the number they gave. That sounds like you agree with that, IQ? 1.6 billion.
1.6, 1.7 is immaterial. We have a lot of people.
It's material for me. Because here's my question. Never in the history of mankind have that amount of people solidly followed any doctrine. Nobody has in the history of mankind that uniformly. We've never seen anything this big in the modern day, up against the modern light of reality, up against science, up against technology. It's never been juxtaposed, never been contrasted ever. How could they have the kind of solidarity no other group in history. What do you believe is binding them? A lot of people believe in things. A lot of people have religious beliefs. A lot of them believe about afterlife. None of them in the history of the world have ever held together with these numbers versus the rest of the world. 1/5, right? Versus 4/5. Help me understand why there's no crack here. It's just one monolithic belief with that number of people. How would that work? How
Fear.
would... Yes.
Fear.
What? Of who?
Ed, fear. I'll answer you always quickly.
Yes.
There are 1.5 or 1.6 billion Muslims.
Yes.
Most of them, 1.45 billion of them are in Muslim lands. Now, Muhammad said, I have been made victorious by terror. Al-Qardawi, one of the foremost Sunni Muslim religious leaders, who is the spiritual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, said in an interview in Arabic, and that translated to English, but I understand Arabic. He said to the one who was interviewing him, Saudi, he said, had it not been postulated in the Quran that anyone who leaves Islam is slaughtered, there would have been no Islam. I don't have to answer more than that. This is from the mouth of the highest authority of Islamic studies in Sunni Islam.
Yes, I'm not doubting the words are written. I'm not doubting decrees are given sincerely. But my question from the beginning has been, you're saying fear unites 1.6 billion people.
Fear.
That's the uniting factor.
Yeah, fear. Why? Because if you are in a Muslim country and you want to apostatize, what will happen to you in a microsecond? Your mother, your father, your brother, your cousin, anybody in the family will kill you. That's simple. It's not complicated. This is fear. Even when you are outside, even they are in Europe or in America, when one of the girls or their girls, one of their boys goes out with a Jewish or a Christian or a Buddhist girl,
I got you on that. The number 2 man at the CIA has just left, and he's on the interview tour, and he's with Charlie Rose last night. Number 2 in the CIA. He says, without a doubt, they were nobody a couple of years ago. Now there's somebody. They are building. He says, we, the United States, have been on the inside of that organization when they go back and forth with Al-Qaeda. We know there's differences between them and Al-Qaeda. We know what happens behind the scenes. How could anything be happening if they were in such lockstep? How could the CIA be on the inside working this, failing for sure? They're failing, but they're in it working. Who are they talking to then? How does anything happen other than what Islam is proscribing if what you say is true? Where is the room for people to talk to us and have back channels and make deals with us? How could that happen if what you're saying is true?
There are no back channels. Why has America failed in Afghanistan? Why has America failed in Somalia? Why has it failed in Iraq? Why has it failed in Libya? I name every single Muslim country where the Americans and Europeans failed. Even the Russians failed. Why? They never understood Islam. They literally never studied the subject. And one of the most important manners of winning a war is to know your enemy as well as you know yourself. But you've got to know your enemy better than he does himself. But we don't. They keep telling you this is not Islam. Bull crap. I have repeatedly gave you verses from the Quran.
I don't doubt that.
I have only 7 of them.
I know someone wants to get in here. I hear another voice, but I don't doubt.
I'm trying to get in here. The thing is, Ed, you've talked to Dr. Caravelli. Now, his credentials are impeccable. And I'm sure you've talked to Dr. Caravelli about this. What impressions are you getting from him regarding this?
Well, he sends the same signal that Morelli, who was the CIA guy, I hope you guys get to see him because he's all over the tube now. He's talking at length. I guess he's got a book. The idea is, certainly there is a pragmatic political side that IQ describes as indistinguishable. You follow? I'm looking for a distinction. Dr. Caravelli is saying over time, we're hoping for one. I mean, he's not where I am. My opinion is, by definition in humanity, there's no way you can't split up 1.6 billion people. I've never seen that group stay together before. But the search for the distinction is what IQ and others are saying is the failure. You know, it is unfamiliar to us. We did get our clock cleaned during Reagan. We did get our clock cleaned on 9/11. So we certainly have been playing catch up. But this idea that it's impenetrable, I think is very controversial. But that was my point. You know, I think Caravelli would back me up.
Well, the one thing is, too, and you brought up a very interesting point there, Ed, is that we've been hearing, you know, over and over again about the fact that terrorism seems to be the only thing that's holding this, I don't know if you want to call it a religion, you want to call it a cult, whatever you want to call it. It seems that, you know, these videos, you know, concentrate on terror, and it seems to be that terror keeps everything intact. So, you know, is that what everybody could expect? Is this going to be, you know, I mean, IQ says there's no way you can deal with these people, yet we're hearing it from our government that there might be. You know, to me, we're at a crossroads when we either go in and bomb the living piss out of everybody, you know, annihilate them, or we try to find that back channel. What do you think? Anybody?
IQ, if we do what Bob says, I've asked you this before, refresh the audience's memory. What happens to the people we conquer? We go on full assault.
We don't need to conquer.
Well, what are you going to do?
We don't need to conquer anybody. With all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, please.
What?
And there are no ladies here.
What are you going to do? If you fight them...
The only thing we have 57 Muslim majority states with 1.5 billion or 1.4 billion Muslims. We leave them alone. We have nothing to do with them. The problems that we have are with the Muslims in Europe and America. We don't have any problem with anybody else. The minute you quarantine them, they will self-destruct. Why? What? Muslims are killing each other a greater number than any Christians have ever killed in Islam. Shia are killing Muslims relentlessly. Sunnis are killing Shia relentlessly. And of course they're killing Buddhists and Hindus and Jews and Christians at the same time. This is a war of extermination and a war of subjugation. Muhammad said, we Muslims must dominate the earth. Why is everybody not willing to face facts and reality? We are not at war with Islam.
All right, but look, you know...
Islam is at war with us.
The other thing is, I bring this up to you all the time. I know you dismiss it, but it needs to be said. Just because it's written in a book doesn't mean people do it. Just because it's the command of Jesus Christ doesn't mean Christians do it. Just because it's the prescription of any God doesn't mean people do it. They may be ordered to do it. But that's what I was trying to say before about history. Where in history do people stay together at that number over a singular belief and then go to jihad over it and become martyrs over it?
Because
I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. That seems to be counter to human progress.
Ed, you said it. You keep repeating yourself. You're very good. You really have mastered the subject, but it's not sinking in somehow. The jihad part is the most important thing. I know we can laugh about Muslims saying that when they die, killing infidels, they end up in Muhammad's whorehouse version of paradise with 72 virgins. But they believe that. This is the most remarkable thing. Educated, top educated Muslims from universities actually start believing that when they die, killing infidels in the name of Islam, in the name of Allah, for the sake of Allah, fi sabilillah, they will end up with the, if they get killed, with the virgins of 72 virgins in paradise, in Muhammad's whorehouse. But they believe that. This is how they conquered 3 continents in 100 years. In 100 years, the Arabs and Islam conquered a greater empire than 1,000 years of Rome. But this is how it happened. This is why they are willing to die. They're not willing to die for Muhammad. They're not willing to die for Palestine. They are willing to die for the virgins that they were promised. You can laugh. By the Israelis, when they captured many of these people who, before they blew themselves up, guess what they were protecting more than anything else on their body? Their penis.
I have a question, and it's this is John, right outside Washington, D.C., and it's good to hear from you again, IQ. I want to bring it down to a somewhat more local level, at least local to the United States. You're aware, of course, that we had 3, at least nominally, Muslim young people murdered by a man who claimed in North Carolina to be an atheist. And so I guess the question is if either, your position seems to be that either and this is what Ed is really getting at, I think. I hope I'm understanding Ed, and he'll correct me without question if I'm not. Either these 3 young people, well educated, are either part of the conspiracy or they're dupes. There really is no third option, I think. So the question is, should we care? Should people care that these 3 young people were shot in the back of the head? Or should we just say, well, okay, 3 fewer Muslims, that's great?
No, we shouldn't say it's great. But you haven't investigated it, although you are in America. I investigated while I'm in Europe. Read the Twitter account and the Facebook account of the man who was shot. His friends, he said that all his friends are Muslims and he would rather have Muslims than Christians. He had very anti-Jewish Twitters on Facebook. And the problem was nothing to do with religion. It was to do with a parking space. Even the wife of the murderer said it had everything to do with the parking space. Yeah, but the news media are not talking about the parking space. Let me
interject.
Because they have to mislead the American public to think of it as a hate crime. Okay. It's not a hate crime.
All right, but the thing is, IQ, here's the thing with me on that particular issue, is that if you're angry over a parking spot, number one, do you go out and shoot somebody? Well, in my opinion, no. You go take it up to them. The second point is that the way these 3 were killed, each one shot in the head, assassination style. So it does make the American people wonder, was this indeed a crime of hate because of the way they died, or like Jonathan said, okay, we got 3 dead Muslims? You know, no, what is it?
As I said, I don't dismiss it. Murder is murder. I don't dismiss it. Under the law, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Buddhist, a Jew, or a Muslim. Somebody commits murder, you've got to be investigated. He hasn't said that he killed them because they were Muslims. In fact, he supports Islam, in a way, according to the reports that I have read. He's not against Islam. He never said a word against Islam.
All right, but you got to
remember, really, to call him a hate crime, it's not a hate crime.
Yeah, but IQ, we have a history in this country, right? It has nothing to do with the Arabic relationship, where for years and years we murdered people on the basis of race, and no one ever took the stand except for that one clown from the Klan and said why. They always said it was something else. They always said they loved black people. The lynching accused. They always did. So you got to be careful. Yes, some people are going to say whatever they want to the news media, and this has been my original challenge for all of us. How do we only go on what people say is the reason they're doing whatever horrible thing it is, and not be smart enough ourselves? Call them out and say, we don't believe what you say, we know better.
That's precisely why I asked the question I asked. What Ed just said is exactly why I wanted to get to that.
Can you, IQ? Can you elucidate on that a little bit? How we would know?
I have tried. I promise you.
The difference
in the shortest possible time. I've tried a million times.
What's the difference between saying you believe it and truly believing it? What is that difference?
No, they do believe it. They say they believe it, and they truly believe it.
How do we know? How do we know?
Look, we speak about moderate Muslims. Why do we speak about moderate Muslims? Was there ever a case in the history in World War II where anybody mentioned a moderate Nazi, militant Nazi, a radical Nazi, or
if I may, this came up last evening. This exact question you just mentioned came up. There are people. We had a neighbor when I was a child who was in the German army. And this guy was a pariah in my neighborhood. And he told everybody at every barbecue he did not know. And when he found out, he did everything he could to stop it, snuck away, and nobody believed him. They said, this guy's a Nazi, and he's covering his ass. And it was the big debate until the guy died. Was he telling the truth, or was he just a filthy Nazi who was trying to hide? Now, nobody in our neighborhood knew. So I'm asking you now, this is the kind of thing that does matter. This guy told us some story when I was a kid that made him sound like a hero, and half the neighborhood believed it. The other half thought he was a filthy Nazi covering his ass. So how do we know if the Nazis are capable of World War II and these people are capable of what they're doing now? This is a critical judgment to make, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. Your question is extremely relevant. I know. I have tried many, many times over a period of 30 years to answer it.
Tell us.
Not only is it in the book, I agree with you. The Jews and the Christians don't follow the Bible by stoning homosexuals to death.
Right.
Or adulterers to death. They don't follow it.
Right.
But there's a huge difference. This is so important. You've got to understand that.
Okay.
According to Islam, according to their belief system, every single letter in the Quran is holy. Every single letter of the Quran was revealed to Muhammad by a God called Allah. And every single letter, every single concept, every single idea must be followed to the nth degree. Why? Because the Quran is perfect. And the minute you change it one way or the other, one iota, you are making it imperfect. And it's not acceptable. I don't know if you can understand that. I mean the people who are not Christians. The people who are not Muslim, the Judeo-Christian tradition, the Hindu tradition, the Buddhist tradition, has an ability to evolve. It has an ability to separate church from state. You cannot ever separate mosque from church, from state. You can't. They tried. Saddam Hussein in my country, Iraq, was secular. He pretended he was a Muslim. He wasn't a Muslim.
I don't want to be disruptive, but did you hear what you just said? You just said it. I just want to focus on it. I'm not trying to make you wrong. I just want to get close to this issue, okay?
Of course.
You said over the years, this is what they've tried. They cannot separate church and state. Didn't you say it that way? It cannot be done.
Absolutely.
Okay, now stay with me. Stay with me.
Yeah.
Before the Mayflower Compact, they would say the same thing. Right
Correct.
before American... Okay, so... Why are you saying there's a wall to progress?
Because 1400 years later, we still are, the Muslims are still stuck in the time warp of 7th century Arabia.
But that doesn't mean we're not that close to knocking this down.
Okay, how much time do you think you have? No, honestly, I'm asking you a simple question.
Okay, I'll give
How many more years do you think humanity has vis-a-vis Islam? How many more years?
Well, the next 10 from now to 2025 will have 100 times the impact that the last 30 has had. Technology is democratizing this world. You're going to bump into some screen. You're going to steal somebody's cell phone. You're going to get a satellite feed. You're going to go to somebody else's hut and take a look at what they found. But the history of mankind has been, whether we crawl or swim, we keep going forward, and I agree with you. They represent the past. Let me ask, just quickly, because I don't want to digress and take up all this time. Quickly, there's a gentleman named Samir Khalaf. He's the president of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. This guy has been out in public. Wouldn't he expect to be assassinated as an apostate?
No.
Why?
No.
Tell me why.
He's a Muslim. He hasn't said he renounces Islam. And he's in America, by the way. Just for your information. The reason I can't reveal who I am, because I'm in Europe.
Yes.
I'm not protected in Europe.
Yes.
They can kill me in an instant in Europe. And all those Muslims who left Islam are in America. Walid Shubat, Noni Darwish, Wafa Sultan, they're all in America. They have more freedom in America. They have less fear in America. You are more of a so-called democracy or free society than you are in Europe. In Europe, anybody who reveals anything about Islam is put in prison. And yet the Muslims can go in the street in Europe,
but
shouting, we are against democracy, we are against the Jews, we are against Christianity, and nothing happens to them.
But the logical conclusion from this,
yeah,
if this is what you're saying is inevitable, if these are immovable pieces to a machine, we can't change the way this is, then what? If we turn our back, as you suggested before, what becomes of the leaders that are revving up the attacks? The people are calling for attacks. They're saying now that Italy is under attack. Now they got the Italian Vatican surrounded last night. My people, they're going to go after the statues. They said, we're going to go get those statues. Okay, so now what? We're supposed to expect all 1.6 billion are coming? We're supposed to expect that 1.6 support it?
No, okay. Why are we extrapolating to a 1.6 billion? They are in their own countries. I said it many, many times. The 1.5 billion, 1.5 billion are in their own countries. They are not a threat to us. They can't come and conquer us. By the way, Islam is only 20% of humanity. The Muslim countries are the least productive, least inventive, least creative in human history. We, the infidels, 80% of humanity, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Jews, Zoroastrian, anybody who's not a Muslim, we are the most powerful, the most productive, most inventive, most creative in human history, and our leaders are running like a chicken without a head.
Let me ask one question here, because IQ, you said right out that the vast majority of Muslims are in the Middle East. All right, the problem is, and when you say that everybody else is not in peril, I have to disagree with that statement. In that, given, let's just use ISIS for example, over 20,000 Europeans, Americans, Canadians are involved in this. Therefore, they are following the strict guidelines of ISIS. Now, these people are eventually going to leak back into our country, Canada, Europe, UK. They're going to be listed as lone wolves. So your assessment that it is only going to be there in the Middle East, I have to disagree, because eventually we're going to be having these same people come here to the United States.
Yes, why should you allow them back? I don't understand.
Because that's just the way things are.
Why would you allow a terrorist who went to join ISIS to kill Americans back into the country? I don't know why.
Look, you got a country that doesn't believe in indefinite detention on foreign soil that was deliberately done so it didn't trigger due process. Very difficult with that. Even people who hate ISIS have a problem with a detention camp, period. We think it can do good, but we think it does bad at the same time. It could defeat itself. So you got a problem with that. Number two, I agree with you. His policy is wrong. He doesn't treat them like combatants. I wouldn't keep them in camp. I would take them out and shoot them. I would show people.
Thank you. I would do not less than that.
Yeah, but you're dealing with a United States with a history, as you always point out, clashing with a culture. So you are not going to get the precise response on the side of the United States that matches the other side. I'm not sure we have to match them. You agree that it has to be dealt with. You agree. I agree with Bob. I don't think you can deal by turning your back on the Middle East. That is going to corrupt your system of trade. Your system of international relations are going to constantly be interrupted because they're not going to get rid of 1.6 billion people.
We're not trying to kill people. My idea was never to kill people.
No,
why
I know.
Am I doing? Why have I? With all due respect, Ed, why have I spent 30 years of my life to kill people? No, to educate people that we are facing a demon called Islam that cannot integrate. It cannot ever integrate into European society.
But here,
it cannot ever integrate into American society, no matter how much they tell you they are westernized.
But you're saying that even you've come on the radio many times, IQ. You brought up the issues, and you're saying educate. Okay, but the problem is, and somebody interject here after I say this. How is it possible that you are going to educate a people that, in your opinion, IQ, will not be educated. How is it humanly possible to re-educate a populace that doesn't want to be re-educated?
You miss my point. I didn't say it in a perfect manner. Educate non-Muslim peoples. I have never ever attempted to educate Muslim peoples. I can teach a donkey to do things. I cannot ever change the mind of a Muslim. Impossible. I have tried, I promise you, and I have talked to people who are educated to the nth degree with PhDs, with master's degrees. I couldn't. So, and I'm not shouting. I didn't call them fuck that, nothing.
No, I know
very
that.
Polite, very nice, like the way I'm talking to you and the way you're talking to me. Very respectful, but they are completely and utterly in denial. I'm giving them in chapter and verse exactly what Muhammad said and exactly what Muhammad did, and they deny it.
All right, let me give you specific. You refute this, okay? Remember, the doctor today was going to refute your sources. Remember, that's how we left it off?
He couldn't have done it in a million years.
All right. Listen, he missed his chance. But I'm quoting now from the president yesterday. I got a couple of quotes. Yes. I just want you to knock this out. These are the words of Obama less than 24 hours ago. Quote, "Of course, the terrorists do not speak for 1 billion Muslims who reject their ideology." Quote, "They no more represent Islam than any madman who kills innocents in the name of Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, or Hinduism." Now, go easy before you start. He didn't say you can't twist the religion to justify. He said it's not a true representation when Christians murder, when Jews murder, Buddhist Hindus. Why would murder be okay in this one religion? Go ahead, point a verse that will legitimize a crazy jihadist and say, look, I'm allowed to do this. I'm taking the building out. I'm killing 1,000 people because here's where Mohammed wants me to. Make that easy to understand.
Okay. I like it because I try to be as prepared as possible. Take chapter 47, verse 4, called Muhammad. By the way, is the name of the chapter, Muhammad. Therefore, Muhammad is telling his followers, when you meet the unbelievers, infidels, kuffar, that's you and I, chop off their heads. Hey, the very verse that ISIS, Hamas, Boko Haram, and every believing Muslim agrees to and tries to fulfill. Chop off their heads. Take another one, Al-Anfal. Al-Anfal is a chapter called, in Arabic, the plunder. Chapter 8, verse 12. Why does it call plunder? Because Muhammad justified the rape, the murder, the slaughter, and the enslavement of other peoples who do not believe in him. He justified it. It says, remember thy Lord inspired the angels with the message. I am with you. That's Allah is with them. Give firmness to the believers. I will instill terror. Again, terror. The word terror comes again and again. I will instill terror into the hearts of the unbelievers. Smite ye above their necks and smite all their fingertips off. This is exactly what ISIS is doing, what Boko Haram is doing, what Hamas is doing. I mean, I've been saying this again and again and again. Nobody wants to listen. Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 85, it says, if anyone desires a religion other than Islam, submission to Allah, never will it be accepted of him. I mean, these are the commandments of their God, called Allah, in the Quran. They read it every single Friday in every single mosque in 180 countries in 80 languages.
Now, Dr. Naqvi, he is now back with us. Welcome back to the discussion, Doctor.
Good morning. Actually, did not know I was going to be called. I got a call around 5 in the morning, my time, in the Pacific time. But thanks for having me back on.
Now, you missed a lot of interesting debate earlier. Ed, you could say it was, lively.
We can recap, but Doctor, let me apologize because I really thought we all left it that we were coming back in 2 weeks, so I do apologize for that. I'm sorry you were left out of the beginning. So thanks for being back on with us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Very great. All right, we had a little earlier kind of a ruckus here. We had a gentleman who says, let me tell you the story of Islam so you can understand. And I got very upset because I'm on the air a long time, many, many years, and this has been a sticking point. I cannot get direct answers from people about these very sketchy, cloudy areas like religion and philosophy and dedication, although, as you're a medical doctor, you feel me here, it's life and death. These people, whatever they believe, whatever's motivating them, chopping off hands and arms and everything as far back as we can remember, and are still at it, burning people in cages, Coptic Christians being massacred. So earlier, we were told there's a story that could make this understandable. I got very impatient. I don't believe there's any way to understand this. I think we're kidding ourselves. Chris Kyle is being criticized and posthumously, the sniper. He said, I was happy to kill as many of these savages as possible. Now, doctor, with all due respect, he didn't mean you. He didn't mean anybody I went to school with in the 70s. He didn't mean anybody at the mosque that was around when I was a little kid. He had nothing. He had no hatred for those people. He was thinking every guy who even agreed with 9/11 should get his head shot off. Not for I'm God to bring justice. Let the word go far and wide. You take a building down like that today, the modern context, it's going to be brutal, even more brutal than you think you can imagine that you would do to us. Doctor, please, help us understand. It seems like that's what we would do in any other case. What story of Islam could mitigate what we need to do? Please.
Well, yeah, so I really would like to talk about what Islam is rather than what Islam is not.
Right, you don't mind answering me first, right? I mean, you don't mind answering me directly first. I mean, what is it? And then please tell us why. But what is it? What's doing this?
Yeah, so I think we are talking about why there are violent Muslims. And there's no, let's just not hide and have the ostrich syndrome. There is a problem out there. There's no question. There's a problem within Islam, and there are some quote-unquote bad Muslims out there that need to be dealt with.
Really? I mean, seriously, are we going to just call them bad when they put them in a cage? When they make a video of the massacre? That's not special? They're not special? I think they're special. No offense.
Yeah. No, so by we have to deal with them. Okay. And then the question of how to best deal with them, right?
It doesn't that doesn't reveal anything about the others? Knowing these people better, the killers, doesn't reveal about the rest of the 1.6 billion Muslims? That doesn't help us learn?
No, unfortunately not. Because
I heard that in your voice. I wanted you to say it out loud. I want to challenge you on that, please. May I? I mean, I really find that offensive. I mean, you're a man of medicine. You know, it starts with a control group. It starts with the ones you look very close at. Please, help me. Help me understand.
So maybe it's a little too early for me to understand exactly. So what you're asking is 1.6?
Yes. Do the murderers help us know the rest of the 1.6 billion? Are they the window in so we can find not the rhetoric, not the self-serving we're really good guys, and not the vicious they all have to die, so the rational Americans can see the difference? Look into the experiment, look into the autopsy, find the disease, and reveal from the disease symptoms trace to the core of the disease. That would be my model to you.
So the short answer is no. They do not tell us, or they do not give us the insight into Islam. They do give an insight into who they are.
Why do they not? Why do you dismiss that? Why is there nothing to learn about the rest of Islam from these people when they do these things?
because that's, like I said, that is not what Islam is, and this is not how most Muslims practice their religion.
I thought we were on a route to learn. Wait a second. I don't want to tell what's happening while I'm doing an experiment. In other words, if I'm under distress in the United States, I have a problem, I want to go looking. Somebody who says to me, don't bother looking there, you'd never find anything. That's a hard sell. When we're trying
no, I did not say that. No, I think that, like I said at the beginning, Ed, there is a problem out there. There is a problem within Islam. There is a problem within Muslim countries that needs to be dealt with.
All right, so how
are you distinguishing it from the rest of Islam? We don't know if it's connected to the rest of Islam. I know you believe we would find no connection, but why wouldn't we investigate as it is heightening in our face? In the last
I would not put it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, please.
So I would not say that there is no connection. There's definitely a connection because they say there is a connection.
I said learning. I didn't say connection. I said learning. I said they can teach. I can learn from suicide. What's his name? Suicide John, or that guy that loves to get on and execute. I can learn from him. Right. No, okay, so, no, I can't learn. You're telling me I can't learn from him about the rest of Islam?
I would not put it that way. I mean, can you? Here's the other thing.
Why? I mean, I just want to stick with why I accept you, but I'm just asking why. Why is it so easy to dismiss looking carefully at the worst of the worst, studying with a microscope? You will see where they came from. Why would we not trace it from the wound into the body? And I don't understand. Why is the model not holding up?
So I'll give you the cancer example. So there are the cancer in Islam.
Yes.
And so now we do understand something about cancer, but there are a lot of things that are much more complex. It's not as simple as, well, this virus caused the cancer, so let's give you the vaccine. If it was that simple, we will have a solution to cancer.
Well,
and I think this is like cancer.
You're right, but how about that lead paint? It's gone in my lifetime. Poisoning children all over the country. Diminishing their brain capacity for cheap paint on public schools, all taken out. So when we do put our mind to something, we're not going to get it all, but boy, oh boy, we're going to decimate that one part of the equation. I'm trying to apply this to these people who are jumping in front of cameras. They want their violence to be seen. They love their methods. The guy said last night, number 2 fella from the CIA told Charlie Rose, they love this. This is how they work their brand. He goes, they're not making progress. They're recruiting. This is how you recruit. Watch me chop this guy's head off. You can chop somebody's head off too. Okay, this is what I'm trying to address. This seems to me, I'm going to learn from those people who are enthusiastically executing. I'm going to learn what's at the root of getting to this point, I think.
Right. And so the answer is not as simple. I know you like, even though you may think I'm an expert on Islam and everything else, the answer is unfortunately not as simple. If a person like me had an answer to it, then we will find the solution. And that's why I think we are having an increasing problem, not a decreasing problem, unfortunately.
Could we be suffering lack of will? Could we be too squeamish to go after the hard stuff and see this? And are we practicing what humans do all the time? It's too horrible to imagine, I must rationalize. Too horrible to imagine, I must rationalize. How do we know we're not doing that? Yeah, go ahead.
So I think partly it is true that there is not a strong enough will by people who are in power to take care of this. And like I said, so let's just come back and to this the problem that we are facing.
Yeah.
Is we have to start with what caused it. When we kind of know what caused it, that's how we can start to find the problem. And to think that this is just simply a manifestation of their interpretation of a book or a set of religious teaching, and that's the only reason they are doing it, I think we are missing the boat, and that's why I think that's not the solution.
You're right, that's a cheap shot, but it is their way of life.
But let me
the book.
And let's not fool ourselves.
The praying, it's the whole emotional attachment that anybody would have to their past. Yes. Now what do we do? Now that we know it's cultural, not just religious, can you help us find a way to sabotage it? I mean, that's what we want. America wants to sabotage this movement, which seems popular in some places. What would be a good way to sabotage it?
So I think we have to act smartly. So there is, just like, say, if there's a drug addiction problem in a community, or violence, just crimes. There's a short-term problem and there is a long-term problem. The short-term problem has to be, you have to act with power. You cannot just educate and take care of an acute problem. There's a city rife with murderers, and the murder rate is high. Well, you have to get after the murderers first, and you cannot just say, well, we'll just go on an education campaign. That's not going to work for short term. So I think there's the same thing here. There's a short-term solution to this problem, which has to be military. I don't think you can just, quote unquote, be a nice guy and say, well,
just give me 10 seconds. Give me a 10-second answer on that. Militarily, I mean, I'm not asking you to be a military expert, but militarily, 6 months in, nothing. A Congress in on it now saying he's not hard enough. Most people who don't like this president don't like him because he doesn't, quote unquote, wear his balls outside of his pants. Don't mess with me is what Americans want. They don't want, I'll have the right answer when you mess with me. They want people to be fearful of us and back off. Now, I'm asking you, Doctor, you feel any progress on the military side from the media that you see?
Before the doctor answers that, I want to add something to that, Ed, is that we've seen, with both Egypt and with Jordan, that the only time that they really got involved is when ISIS literally, for Jordan, burned the pilot. For Egypt, burned the 45. Is that what it's going to take for us to have the same type of involvement to eliminate this?
You're right. I think that's unfortunately the reality. But I don't necessarily blame Jordan and Egypt for not acting exactly the way they acted if they were attacked. I mean, just think about ourselves. We really did not start to act until 9/11. Now, these acts have been going on. Al-Qaeda has been killing many people. There have been many attacks in Pakistan. We didn't go actually and supported Pakistan saying, hey, you guys are getting killed by these extremists, so let me help you guys there.
This is a good point, Doctor. You brought it up last time. We don't like being the policeman of the world. We don't enjoy that. We're into this now because our children went flying out of windows. Let's not pretend, we don't want to be benevolent. We want to be selfish in America. We just want ourselves.
And Ed, let me put in here, too. I think Americans tend to worship, all of us, at one time or another, worship at Our Lady of Instant Gratification church or synagogue or mosque. We know that if we look at even recent U.S. history, that we were losing World War II for 4 of its 5 years. We didn't even begin to strike back at Japan until Doolittle sent those planes to bomb a few factories, and it was a moral victory, but it was rather a military disaster, what Doolittle said, or at least it was negligible. The fact is, Americans then are different from Americans now. We sucked it up and realized that to defeat Imperial Japan and Nazified Europe, it would take time. That it would take time to get the coalitions running smoothly. We now in America today, we get hit, and we get hit hard, and it was horrid. And these bastards need to be taken down. There is no question. But Americans today, we do worship at Our Lady of Instant Gratification, and it harms us that we do.
Well,
That's
said.
Excellent
well
point.
said, right, Doctor?
Yeah, no, excellent point. I didn't want to interrupt you. Excellent point. And this is exactly what I was saying is, before 9/11, we were a very naive country. I'll give you some examples. My mother was sick, an older woman at the time, and before that too. She has passed away since then. And I was in LA, and I remember I used to just take her to the airport, and I'll just go right into the airplane. and I say, hey, this is my mom. Please take good care of her. She's flying to San Francisco. And I say, hey, don't worry about it. And I had no tickets, nothing. I was inside the plane. And I also remember my daughter. She was 4 years old. This is late 90s. And I said, hey, Dad, how did the airplanes fly? I said, well, let's talk to the captain. So I talked to the stewardess. It's like, my daughter wants to actually visit the cockpit. She said, hey, come on in.
Right.
So me and my daughter, we were actually next to the captain, and he was just going, hey, come on, this is how you turn the plane, and we were all excited. I was excited. I know my daughter was thrilled. But we were a very naive country, and 9/11 did change that. And so sometimes, it takes a direct hit to actually experience it.
Let me destroy this beautiful picture, because I love that America. But we all know it's long gone. IQ al-Rassooli left it off last episode that he would have some verses that would support how he and you disagree, illustrate his side. You said you'd be happy to. Let me reintroduce, Doctor, that you have written a book and that you have strong views on being a born-again Islamic. Can you explain that term, explain your book in a couple of seconds, and then we'll have IQ al-Rassooli give you some citations. But give us a little background on your book and the way you see being born again.
Yeah, so I was not always this religious, and again, this is very relative term, but I was not very spiritual. I was not as close to God until about 20 years ago when I performed the pilgrimage to Mecca, and that was a deeply inspirational experience that changed my life for the better, I think. I think I'm a better physician, better person, better husband, better father, better neighbor now, and then it made me open my eyes to study the Quran, not read the Quran like many Muslims have, just reading in Arabic. So I read the Quran, and that really did open my eyes, and I definitely became much more calm and more humble for sure. And
give us a couple on what happened during your pilgrimage. Tell the audience just a little bit. What you said, it changed you. It's different than reading the book. It's different than the text. Describe a little bit, what intimacy did you get with this religion from having that pilgrimage? How did it change you?
Well, it's hard to describe. It's just the deeply, I felt like if there's any way possible in this world and in this life to be in the presence of God, that's how I felt. I felt very close to God. I felt very peaceful.
Fair enough. IQ, please. You got your citations. Let's get a couple out, and let's have Doctor respond so everybody could learn a little bit about the Quran, what it means. Go ahead, IQ.
Okay. Doctor, it's good to have you back. We usually, as you know, I don't know if you do, I come from Iraq, so my mother tongue is Arabic, so I have a great advantage over most of the people who talk about Islam, because their background is not Arabic. They don't speak Arabic. They don't read the Quran in Arabic. They have no tradition of Arabs. I have. Now, I studied the Quran. I studied the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, because I wanted to have as broad information basis as possible when I discuss anything. Now, I read the Quran when I was a child in Iraq. So when I came to Europe to study, I had access to European, public places, and I was able to take and borrow the Bible and compare the verses of the Quran with the verses of the Bible, and they didn't match. So it put me on a course to find out why and how is it possible that if Allah is the same God as the code of the Bible, that there are two different versions. And the most important ones that I really found out in the Quran, which upset me, are these, the following. Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 51. And it says, I'm quoting verbatim from the translation by the Saudi government. It says, O ye who believe, Muslims, take not the Jews, Yahud, and the Christians, Nasara, for your friends and protectors. They're but friends and protectors to each other. And he amongst you, Muslims, that turns to them for friendship is of them. Well, anybody who understands English even, the implication of the last sentence is of immense importance, because it says, and I repeat, and he amongst you Muslims that turns to them, that Jews and Christians, for friendship is of them, means that any follower of Muhammad who befriends or is under the rule of Christians or Jews or any other non-Muslim group would be considered apostates to Islam, outsiders to Islam, enemies of Islam, who must be slaughtered. In a nutshell, doctor, no Muslim can ever be loyal to the American Constitution because it is not from Allah, because it's man-made. Nor can any of them be loyal citizens in the United States because non-Muslim Americans, 97% of the population, are infidels, kuffar, unbelievers, kafirun. What do you think?
So that, I don't know if you have read my book. I actually have quoted that verse about, whether or not Quran prohibits the friendship with the Jews and the Christians. So the word that is used is awliya. Awliya is not just a friend like you and me can be friends. Awliya is actually, it actually refers to some kind of a religious type of almost guardianship. That's the word that's been used, awliya. And the Quran also allows marriage, and there are verses that says that the marriage is allowed between a Muslim man and women from a Christian or a Jewish faith. And also it says that the food of each other is allowed. So how could you actually not be friends and share food? And that sharing food is not just like, well, let's just have dinner together. It's in the old-fashioned sense of when you share meals, you're not sharing meals with your enemies. So if there are clear verses that talks about putting or marrying women or having interfaith marriages, if you will, that is not consistent with what your interpretation is of verse 551 Surah Al-Ma'idah. And
let me answer this so that we don't digress. The Quran says that the food of the Jews is halal to the Muslims. Obviously it is halal to the Muslims because it is the same way that the Muslims, they do not eat pork. The Jews don't eat pork. So that's nothing to do with the relationship between a Muslim and a Jew. Another thing, a Muslim man can marry a Jewish or a Christian woman, but a Muslim woman cannot do that. So tell me, why is that?
Well, let's just stick to at least the one point, because the Jews actually allowed nothing. So at the very least, Islam is an improvement over the Judaism, right? I mean, if you're using those criteria. But going back to
hold on. Now we're getting into my area. I'm from New York. I can speak to you about Jews in forever.
Well, we remember we also have
you got to say right here, not all Jews are Orthodox and feel obligated to marry in Judaism.
Now remember,
that is the strictest, most narrow group of Jews, and that's fine. But let's be clear. Don't think that Jews are out staying married to only Jews.
Now, I want to also interject. We also have a Jewish individual on the panel.
Well, there you go. So, you know what I mean? I'm just telling you right now, don't tell the audience that, just like Islam, Jews, please.
I like it. I'm laughing only because I'm glad you jumped in.
Are you the Jew? Yeah, go ahead, Jew. This is my Jewish friend. Please, jump in.
Hi.
But I like it. I like you jumped in because you felt like I was generalizing. This is a perfect example of what I feel like.
What I'm saying, I felt a little bit misinformed. I'm saying that remnant of Judaism is but a thread on a woolen coat of Judaism in America today. I think we're concerned here because of, the setting that is being used to set the attack on us is from yesteryear. The Jews are not living yesteryear. I can tell you that. Come to New York.
Now, Jonathan,
Ed,
you were going to say something before the doctor answered. Jonathan, you were about ready to say something. Go ahead. Please interject.
Only that Ed is largely correct. I mean, American Jews certainly. Some of us do feel that there is a certain kind of cultural or even historical obligation to marry within the group, but it's a very real. It's so much more relaxed, and Ed's right, than it ever used to be. I mean, my own sister, we grew up in We grew up, of course, in a Jewish family. My sister married a Christian. 25 years later, he decided to convert to Reform Judaism, but that was not done because he didn't do that because he was in any way pressured to do it. If he had been pressured to do it, I suppose he would have done it well before that. But Ed's right. There is no real
apples and oranges. All right. I mean, we are dealing my whole life with certain people dressing a certain way on the street. Yes, some Jews, some Arabic, some everything in New York.
That's right.
But we're talking about contemporary reality. So please, go on. But I just wanted to clarify that for people around the country, go on.
I agree with you. Right. And I agree with you too, Ed. The only thing is that I think within the last 5 minutes, we subconsciously or unintentionally divided the actions of the followers, because we started with what the teachings are, and then you started to talk about how the followers of that religion are acting or thinking. But also it's an American. So the American Jews are different than, say, the Jews living in Israel or Eastern Europe, right?
That's right.
And I'm saying the same thing, which is just since IQ started to quote the Quran, and I was just responding to that. Let me quote some other verses, because here's the thing, be it Old Testament or New Testament, I have respect for that, because the Quran says the Torah and the Gospel, there was guidance and there was light in it, all right? And says in multiple different places, there was guidance and there was light in it, and it's the differentiator between the truth and the falsehood.
IQ, get right in there. Do you dispute that? That sounds pretty close and workable. Do you dispute what the doctor just said about the light?
Not at all. The Quran does say that, but what the doctor, by the way, Dr. Naqvi, I actually ordered your book 2 days after we had the talk. I have it literally with me, 369 pages. I have read it, I have highlighted, I've got stickers on every other page. So it's not as if I haven't read it. No, I wouldn't discuss anything with you ad hominem. No, I have read it.
So
what you have missed in the book, with all due respect, is the abrogating and abrogated verses.
That's where we
left. They are so important in Islam that 99% of humanity, both Muslims and non-Muslims, either do not know or ignore.
Okay, so let me actually ask you. So let me read another verse. This is from chapter 29, verse number 46. That do not argue with the people of the book, which is reference to the Christians and the Jews, except in the best manner, and tell them that we acknowledge what was revealed to us and what was revealed to you, and our God and your God is the same, and to him we peacefully surrender. This is verse number 46 from 29, and this cannot be quote-unquote an abrogated verse from Mecca, because this is obviously in reference to the Jews and the Christians, and the verses in the Mecca were more in reference to the pagans of Mecca, and then there are others, and 262, 569. It says, now anyone who is a Muslim or Jew or Christian, anyone who believes in one God and the last day and does righteous deeds should have no fear, and neither shall they grieve on the day of judgment. And that's verse number 69 from chapter 5.
Can I just make sure I understand what you're saying with that, Doctor? What point does that make? That language is clear. What point are you making with that language?
What I'm saying is, and these are the verses that actually opened my eyes and my mind to study the Bible. Let me read the entire verse. For verily, those who have attained to faith, which is a reference to the Muslims, as well as those who are Jewish, and the Sabians, and the Christians, anyone who believes in God and the last day and does righteous deeds shall have no fear, neither shall they grieve on the day of judgment. So basically, this is in reference to the Quran calls the Jews and the Christians kafirs or infidels. That is not true. And so there are other verses that says those who
don't go too fast, because I think you got the operative word there, and I'm trying to hang on to it. Okay. Your quote, and I'm going by what you said, and IQ, you're not challenging. I assume these are the correct words.
Of course he's telling the truth. Wait a minute.
All right, hold on.
Of course he's quoting correctly. There's no question that he's quoting correctly.
Hold
but
on.
are they operative? These verses are not operative anymore. These have been abrogated. This is what's so important in the Quran. I agree with the...
Q, we got it. We got it. Doctor, do you agree that this is under challenge, this verse, under abrogation, or you believe this is free and clear, the belief as it's given in your scripture? Which is it?
So let me, IQ, let me also tell you, I don't believe in abrogation. That's total nonsense. I know a lot of Muslims do. That's all, no, don't get me wrong.
So, hold on. Go easy. That's it. That's that. I want to come back to the quote you gave, Doctor. The quote you gave says, if he does righteous deeds. So if I think somebody of another religion is not doing righteous deeds, I can cut their head off and go nuts on them with your verse of love. Even if it's not abrogated. Even if it's not abrogated, like IQ's trying to knock it out by abrogation. I'm saying take it literally, and you could still have a jihad. Because if they're doing things that are not righteous, you're entitled right there to go cut their head off and set them on fire in a cage. Or no, show me where I'm wrong.
No, but Ed, where does this verse say that then if they don't, then go ahead and cut their heads off?
It's like it's the 10th Amendment. Anything other than righteous, you're on. Do the right thing. If people are evil, what is it a Muslim supposed to do? If an evil person is about to chop an innocent person's head off for anger and lust and dishonesty, is he supposed to jump in there and save the life, or is he supposed to pray for the cut off head? Is he passive or active as a Muslim? What is he supposed to do?
If your life is in danger, then sure. I mean, no religion. Not just Islam, but not
your neighbor's life is in danger. Your neighbor's life is in danger. You're there. You could stop it by being active. What does your religion say? Does it say save or watch?
So here's the verse that I'll quote. Anyone who saves... let me restart.
Yeah.
Anyone who kills an innocent person, it is as if he killed the entire humanity.
We know that
and
quote.
Anyone who saves another person, it is as if he saves the entire humanity.
That's right. What if you kill the guilty? What does the book say if you kill the guilty? What penalty is there in the Quran if you kill the guilty?
I don't know if there is any specific reference, but the Quran does not say
Then we have a big problem. Now we have a big problem. Anybody who wants to say, I am with the Quran all the way, I am doing the spirit of the Quran, but this person over here is not righteous, they're a threat to what we believe, they're a threat to our very lives, I am sure as shooting now, having spoken to you on the air, having had IQ's input for a year plus, you can't deny it is wide open for jihad, even with your interpretation. The book doesn't have to say conduct one. It just says what you can't do. If it tells you don't touch the righteous, what do you think?
The Quran does not say that you take the law in your hand, number one.
I didn't say it said that. What do you think people who are told by their God, leave the righteous alone, what do you think they're going to do with the enemy? What do you think they're going to do with their aggressors? What do you think? I'm asking you. You're a student.
Let me ask one thing here.
To follow the life of Prophet Muhammad,
which is lay down in front of your enemy. Lay down in front of your enemy, or take up arms against your enemy.
If the army attacks you, then you take up the arms with them, and that's
all right. Go ahead. Interrupt.
I need to ask this. Okay, you both have brought up a couple very interesting points here. But my question is, and either IQ or the doctor can answer it. All right, if we go by what has been said, who, in fact, are the guilty? Who, in fact, are the innocent? Now, that's, you both have touched on the guilty. You both have touched on the innocent. But here's my question. Yeah. Who are they?
Go ahead, doctor first, then IQ. What a great question. Yeah, go ahead, doctor. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys?
So actually, if you read the verse number 177, chapter 2, it actually just talks about what is righteousness. And the righteousness is not if you had to be Muslim, quote unquote. Righteousness is that you believe in God. So
I didn't ask about righteousness. I asked who is the innocent, who's the guilty.
Right. How would you know, under the guidance of the Quran, who you are allowed to take up arms against and who you should never take up arms against?
So that's a more direct question. I'll answer. It's verse number 190 from chapter number 2. Clearly tells what it is. So if the war is waged against you, then fight in the name of God. But do not commit aggression. Verily, God does not like aggressors.
Doctor, may I now? Let me just keep it in the current. Over the last 20 years in the world, every terrorist, when they get their say, says they're a freedom fighter. I am called by the world a terrorist, but I am a freedom fighter. The Sandinistas say it. The Palestinians say it. Everybody says it. No one ever says, I'm bad, I'm a terrorist. They say, I'm a freedom fighter. Help us, doctor.
Exactly.
How do people not hide behind this?
Exactly, because we've also heard it out of Al-Qaeda. We're hearing it out of ISIS. We're hearing it
Everybody's
from
a freedom fighter.
Everybody's a freedom fighter.
So especially when they kill innocents.
Right, so the problem is...
that's not only right in general, but just look at what Bob and I discuss at least once a month when I'm on his show as a guest on Friday mornings. We discuss Israel and Hamas, just Hamas. Hamas couldn't get the dupes that it gets in the United States were it not for the fact that America loves freedom and we swallow anybody's horse shit. All they have to do for us to swallow their crap is to say the term freedom fighter.
Yeah, but the thing is everybody's still beating around the point. Who is the innocent? Who is the guilty? I don't want to hear this rhetoric. I want to know who's the innocent, who's the guilty.
Doctor, you've done a great service. Because as the question's being asked, the whole listening audience, like me, went to chapter 2, verse 190, verse 19. This is exactly what we wanted out of this show months and months ago.
Exactly.
IQ, I'm sure you appreciate this. Now, let me just read what was just referred to slow for the listener to follow. Verse 2, 190, quote, fight in the way of Allah, those who fight you, but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like transgressors. Verse 191, and kill them wherever you overtake them. Okay. You see, now, we all know the sincere freedom fighter doesn't mind dying. George Washington, Sandinistas, pick your favorite. Che Guevara, it doesn't matter. The world thrives off of this. Doctor, isn't this the problem? Haven't we finally gotten to the root of this with all of your patience with us and IQ's discipline and Bob's network and everybody? Haven't we finally gotten to the point? Yes. If you believe this person is wrong, you can cut their head off if you're sincere. And if you believe that they're okay, you should find a way to make up with them. Isn't that the bottom line? And isn't jihad going to come crashing through like a Trojan horse because it fits in between the verses?
Yeah, so it goes back to who you are. And so, I mean, I'm focusing on 190. To me, that's critical. Not only God ordains us to say, do not commit aggression, and it also says verily, meaning verily means, the word verily is a double emphasis. Do not commit aggression. Or do not, I mean, there are different translations. I mean, there's transgression, hostilities.
Fight in the way of those who fight you, but do not transgress, period. Do not, it's no qualification, there's no long paragraph. It's a prescription. It's great. But the point being, and IQ, jump in. If there is a scale that a Muslim must use to say, I must know what I'm doing, I must be following, he's got to put it in his head. This person is my enemy. This person is my friend. It is based on the actions. IQ, correct? It is the actions of the human, or it is the identity of the human? Which is it, according to the Quran? It sounds like Allah is looking at actions of people. What is Allah saying?
Yeah, only in that verse. And that verse is abrogated.
Abrogated.
The doctor says he does not approve of abrogation. But the doctor is not the spiritual leader of the Muslims. Every imam you talk to, and every imam before him, 1400 years ago, 700 years ago, 1000 years ago, will tell you, abrogating verses are the ones from the Medina, which abrogate, make null and void the earlier verses of Mecca. The verses he was quoting, he said, they are from Mecca. And from Mecca...
No, I did not say that. No, I did not. I said they are not from Mecca.
Which one is from Mecca? Which one is
Well,
from?
I just told you the verse number that talks about the 49:26 about the people of the book. Talk to them, argue with them in the best of manners, and tell them, this is 29:46, chapter 29, verse number 46, and tell them, we believe what was revealed to you and what was revealed to us, and our God and your God is the same, and to him we peacefully surrender. The translation is by Yüksel, 29:46.
I wish I had my.
There are others. I mean, and you're going back to does the Quran call?
Can we go slow? Just you guys, just go slow with us, okay? Abrogation means knocked out for the layman, correct? If a verse is early in a book, it's abrogated later in a book. That means it's been overridden.
Yeah, made null and void.
Null and void. Good enough. Okay. Now, I'm looking at a website that is giving the abrogated verse, and then it is listing an abrogator. So for each verse that's overridden, there's a point in the book that specifically overrides it. Is this the claim?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, the doctor, please. It's very important before we continue.
190 and 29:46 were specifically abrogated, and the Quran says, I was just kidding on 29:46, and I was kidding on 190. I was kidding on 905.
What is the revelation? What is the revelation? In the New Testament, we understand. Jesus shows up, and he says specifically, I'm taking out this, I'm putting in that. What is the action of abrogation? This is all revelation and written down in a book, or what actually takes place in order for abrogation to take effect? It's inspired.
Allah says in the Quran, I have revealed to you, Muhammad, certain verses, but I can reveal other verses later on, which will be either equal to or superior to the one that I revealed earlier.
Just go slow. It's a declaration of repealing previous. Doctor, are you on board? Doctor, are you on board with this?
On board, meaning I agree with it. Well, the interpretation that I have read.
Yes. What is abrogation? What does abrogation mean to you?
Yeah, the abrogation to me, and IQ is right. There are Muslims who do believe in abrogation, and to many of us, especially those who are looking to quote unquote reform Islam, that's nonsense. And this is why I think it's nonsense.
Hold on. Before we go too far, so I need to understand this. The public needs to understand this. An abrogation, okay. I'm reading an abrogating verse. Let me just read a couple of words. You tell me if this is what it means. It says, and do not kill anyone whom Allah has forbidden, comma, except for a just cause. So that's the abrogation. Even the abrogation allows the jihad, Doctor. Even if, I know IQ says there is no abrogation, but even if there were abrogation for everyone, abrogation would not prohibit a jihad. Yes or no?
The jihad needs to be defined. I mean, if your definition
or a war against the unjust, a war against the unjust, a jihad. We must fight. This is the enemy of what we believe. He says here, do not kill anyone except for a just cause. So if you have a just cause to kill, why would you not be able to finish the job with the enemies and take them out in a jihad? It seems to me we're trying to find a way to say to jihadists, you can't do this. You could say to a Christian who goes and bombs a church, you can't bomb a church. Even if you're a Christian, even if you think Jesus wants the church blown up, you can't do it. Here's why, if you're a Christian. We're looking for this in Islam. IQ says it doesn't exist. He says you're not going to find it. They're allowed to do all this crazy stuff. You're saying abrogation is real. These reflected verses, deeper thought, can reverse the effect of an earlier verse. I just need to know,
Yeah,
what is in the Quran? What is it in the Quran? What is it in the Quran that stops jihad?
Let me ask something else here, real quick. All right, Ed. Obviously, you've got this this verse right in front of you, and correct me if I'm not mistaken. It says right in it, a just cause. Okay, so it makes me wonder, and I'm sure it's probably going to make a lot of people wonder. Exactly, according to what we are now know. And what we are learning, exactly what is a just cause? I mean, could it be, I don't like your looks? Could it be...
Go get him, Doctor. Doctor, you're the one who's on the side of there's room to find a way to restrain jihad. Please.
I would not restrain jihad. I would restrain terrorism.
Well, you know what I mean.
Wait, hold on a minute. You said, doctor, let me interrupt. Doctor, please, let me say, you just said you would not hold back on jihad. Jihad, according to what everybody knows, is quote unquote a holy war. You just said you would not hold back. Everybody that we've been hearing from all the way down the line has claimed jihad. But you just said, doctor.
You said you'd be okay with it. Yes. You said you'd be okay with it. But doctor, let me read a definition of jihad just so we don't argue the wrong word. Is it a duty?
I'll come back to that, but I would not restrain jihad. But I'll come back to that.
Is jihad in this definition what I'm reading? An Islamic term referring to the duty of Muslims to struggle or resist. Is that true?
Yeah, so that is what jihad means. So I think, number one, we equate jihad with terrorism.
The puzzle, Doctor, it's like a Wheel of Fortune. We can read the answer in the puzzle now. I mean, we got to stay on point here. I know you have a lot of knowledge, and I respect you. You've given us a breakthrough show. But it's kind of like my job, you know. I'm the Johnny One Note. I'm only in this for 9/11. I'm still in it for that day. I was there. I saw these buildings. I grew up there. I watched those buildings be built. I'm in it for that. Well, so I'm saying I wanted to know for a year, listening to IQ, and now we hear this morning, thanks to you. I wanted to know, was there a legalistic way to squeeze through the Quran, come out the other side, and take down buildings? And you must admit there is.
You know, and I have to agree.
And if you don't, I would have to say you're naive.
And the thing is, too,
if I decide in my heart of hearts, in consultation with my deity, that you are unjust, then I must struggle and resist you according to my Muslim duty.
You know, like Ed,
and the ball game is over at that point. The buildings come down.
You know, like Ed, I have a personal investment in this as well because, you know, what can I say? A very dear friend of mine went down in a plane in Pennsylvania. I mean, I've been searching for these exact same answers.
You hear us, Doctor? Go ahead. Is there not room, even in your definitions, even in your interpretation, IQ set aside, even though I kind of feel for him, but with your most generous interpretation, how can you tell me there's no way to conduct a jihad against the West if you want to use the actual Quran language?
Yeah, I can use the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran to do something that I can go and stone my cousin who was adulterer, right? But is that the right thing to do? Is that what's actually...
That's not what's being done. That's not on the headlines. That's not what killed all those people that day on 9/11. That's not why people went jumping out of windows. So if you had that problem, I would deal. I would not dismiss you if you brought a problem related to that. I'm asking you not to dismiss me. I am saying there's room to follow the Quran under your interpretation and still conduct the current Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS jihad. They are perfectly in the letter of the law, according to what you have taught us today. Go ahead.
So let me answer that directly. So is there room for misinterpretation? Of course there's a room for... People are misinterpreting, so there's no denying that.
How do you say? How do you tell somebody that they got it wrong about who's the just and who they should struggle and resist against? How do you tell a righteous person that they're wrong?
Okay, and I'll go back to saying, you know, you don't put one, take or extract one little line and say, well, this is what I mean.
But this isn't, we're trying to do the point of view. Could a bad person be a follower of Islam and believe they are okay to do this mayhem? The same way a Christian blows up a church in the 1950s because he believes God wants to smite the race mixers. They are sincere, and their book doesn't prohibit them, except in Christianity it does. In the Quran, I don't find a prohibition.
So
can I interrupt a second? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, IQ.
Can I put my one dime for the last time? The doctor recited verses which are conciliatory, which I agree with. They are in the Quran. But let him explain this one. Al-Tawbah, chapter 9, verse 29. It goes like this. Fight, qatilu. That means go to war. Those who believe not in Allah nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which had been forbidden by Allah and His Apostle Muhammad, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, Islam, even if they are of the people of the book, Christians and Jews, until they pay the jizya. The jizya, as you know, is an onerous tax for not being a Muslim. And these Christians and Jews must pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves humiliated. Well, just to make sure that the listeners would believe what I'm revealing, I would like to put forth a challenge worth $200,000 to the first person who can show us all a single operative verse in Muhammad's Quran that demonstrates any compassion and mercy to all unbelievers. And currently unbelievers represent 80% of humanity. All Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Jews, atheists, agnostics, anybody who's a Muslim.
And Dr.
$200,000 for one just verse.
May I please? That is what brought IQ to us over a year ago. He has been asking Fox News. He has been asking NBC. Somebody, please, just let him put the challenge out. Now, Doctor, I'm not using you for the challenge. He opened up a very important debate. But honestly, simply, could you forget about the money? Could you just defeat what he just said? Is there a verse which shows exactly what IQ claims or not? What is it, Doctor, in your opinion?
So it also says in 905 and 906, actually 901 through 906. That's actually the same chapter that he's quoting, verse number 29. But the same chapter in the 1 through 6, it actually talks about, who you should fight, and it does talk about like when you do fight and you kill them, and just like Moses killed Moses and David and everybody else actually in the Old Testament. So all the books are about going in and highlighting.
Here's the thing, though, right? When you do that comparison, you try to do that comparison there. Watch, see how you did that with the Bible? The Bible has in it where Jesus says, I am the new law. He didn't mince words. He said it, just in case you don't know. I am. Now, where is this verse where somebody says, I'm the new Quran, I'm the new voice, because Jesus says it. You can't compare Bible and Quran, because Bible ends where he throws himself down there, and that's it. He's the lamb at the end. He's not fighting. You could go as long as you want and wait for the apocalypse. But what happened on Earth, what happened in human history, is the guy walked around and ended it on a peaceful note. Your book doesn't end on a peaceful note. Or if it does, please give us the verse.
Well, first of all, Bible is not one scripture. Okay, the Bible is man-made. We believe.
You make a comparison. You compared them, not me. You compared them. So I'm saying it's a corresponding verse in the Quran. Where Jesus says, I'm the new one. This is the new attitude. Where is the new attitude in the Quran?
All right, here's the other thing. Doctor, I have to disagree with you, all right? You're saying, all right, the Bible is written by man, all right?
No, the Bible as we know it now, the canonization was done by man. It was not meant. Actually, even if you talk to
all right, let's say it's
a lot of the Jews, the Orthodox Jews especially, they don't believe in 5 books. They believe there's only one scripture, and that's Torah. So
let me get to my point, okay? please, let me get to my point here, is that, all right, you may have had the books translated over and over again. There may have been misinterpretations. You cannot tell me, Doctor, you cannot tell me that there have not been the same thing happen with the Quran or the Torah or any other religious book, and yet, like Ed said, you know, the Bible ends on a good note. To my knowledge and from my understanding, the Quran does not. IQ may disagree with me. He may agree with me. Jonathan, how does the Torah end? Does it end on a good note, bad note?
The Torah basically wraps up with a series of reminders to the Hebrew clans as they're about to move across into the new land, about how to be just and decent and righteous.
Okay.
And also, it adds. And wait, let me just finish.
Yeah.
It then picks up a theme saying that no other prophet other than Moses has ever spoken to our clans this way, and it's unlikely that any will. And then we're told that God buried Moses in a secret place so that nobody would end up worshiping Moses. And it ends on a fairly upbeat note, saying that Moses was, you know, really a man of remarkable insight,
and a Messiah would come. There was a belief in.
Well,
in
yes. Well,
was coming, that somebody would come to deliver us.
Well, most rabbis wouldn't tell you that's how the Hebrew Bibles ended, but there is some notion of messianism within Torah.
Okay, so the implication is there. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. The idea of a better day coming, okay. A peaceful, the vision of the peaceful future doesn't translate, Doctor, out of the Quran. Every question you've gotten in the last few minutes revolves around where is this Quran leaving modern Muslims to do if IQ says stuff has not been abrogated, and some Muslims in the modern world are acting crazy? We're trying to get to the bottom of what the book says modern Muslims ought to be doing. So put the Bible and everything aside. What is the Quran's prescription for the modern Muslim?
So why is it, let me actually answer you a different way. Why is it that when I read the Quran, when a lot of the people I know many thousands more Muslims than I think this panel does, and then I have the same, so when I read it, I felt so different. I felt more calm, more peaceful, more open-minded, joined the interfaith circle. I actually asked others, it's like, you know, this is what I went through, this is how I kind of transformed. What did you feel when you read the Quran? And I had the same type of answer from them. So like, you know, they actually became better people in general, more peaceful, you know, more humble, and everything that you will know of. So if this book was so nasty, all of these people that I know of who read and their heart were softened would not say that.
But doctor, I get to say,
I know what you're saying. I think there's,
you know, who doesn't give everybody puts a golden glow on themselves. Everybody says everything makes them better. There isn't one person on planet Earth that doesn't say some experience, Walden Pond, a rain shower, something. You know, I'm better now. You know, now I really know the truth now. Oh, come on. Let's raise it a little higher. These people are training to fly planes, to murder people. They're putting them in cages. They don't feel restrained. They don't feel restrained at all. They have no new life of happiness or peace that's manifest.
But Ed, everybody else is missing the point. I think we are oversimplifying it, that this is all because of here's my point that I'm making.
I said
there are crazy people who will love to kill us. Okay? And us means everybody, everyone, not just Americans, but all of us who are not like them.
Right.
So there's no debate there.
Okay, so if my neighborhood and my Catholics were having a big problem in New York, and we were starting fights, and we were terrorizing Protestants, and we were setting Jewish synagogues on fire, and they came to me and they say, Ed, you know, your neighborhood's doing this. And I go, well, you know, I don't do that. They would say to me, are you going to take up a gun with us and kill your neighbors? I'd say, son of a bitch, you bet. I will kill my fellow Catholics God damn, I will. I don't see that in happening here. I don't see people turning on their vicious fellow Muslims.
Ed, you're absolutely wrong.
I'll kill these sons of bitches. I'll kill these sons of bitches, just like it says in the Quran. I should. The Quran says I can kill them. I'll kill them for you.
Ed, let me actually just remind you something that we have not talked about.
Uh-oh.
This is going to open up a new can of worms. You know that.
Of course it is. But go ahead. Doctor, you're a learned man. Go ahead, help us. Go ahead, help us.
So this is in direct response to what Ed just said.
Yes.
So these Muslim countries, long before 9/11 and after 9/11, there are more Al-Qaeda people, there are more Boko Haram people that were actually killed by Muslim soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
You want more Talibans have been killed by Pakistani Muslim army people.
And what does that prove? Okay, maybe true. So therefore,
going back to your response, so they have in killing.
Come on, easy, no good. Time out, foul, no points. Sorry, hold on. 9/11. People cheering in the street. Let me ask you something. 9/11, they cheer in the street. They go on TV and they yell in the street, yay, 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 yay. The building is down. The Americans are dead. Yay. Let me ask you something. When that happened, why didn't the good people of that town massacre that demonstration?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That would not be.
It was the machine gun then.
They would not.
You're going to tell me no one was around to machine gun that crowd?
Do you want to kill everyone who demonstrates against you against a certain thing?
You know what? All right. So this is. You know what? This is. I hear you're a doctor and an academic. So this is where we part. This is. You've helped me because I like the verses that you inform me on. But this little thing you do now, where all of a sudden I give you a reality and you go, Ed, what do you want? Ed is a realist. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in made-up gods. I don't believe in psychological teddy bears to make people not be afraid of planet Earth. Everything is a fact, whether people like it or not, and yours are good. I'm sure 90% of the people could spin it good. I'm not interested in that. I'm only interested in the 10% that threaten me, my buildings, my civilization. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not going to have a holistic understanding. It's not worth my time.
So, I mean, that's your take, Ed. You're entitled to your opinion. That's true. What I'm saying is this.
Yes.
You are mad. I'm twice as mad as you.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not even close. It's not even close. You don't know how we're mad. That's insulting. I don't know what it's like to be you.
Ed, I think it's insulting for you to say that I'm not twice as mad because.
Well, I don't know you.
You're not defending this criminal.
I'm telling you something. I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but I saw everybody jump out of the building myself. So I don't know you from a hole in the wall. I really don't. I'm taking your word at your word, but don't ever tell me what you know about how I feel. I know plenty about you. You don't know anything about me. This is not equal. This is not an unequal situation. We're in a real situation. Reality is not equal. Reality is not equal. It's not artificially equal. But I am trying to learn from you. But let's not.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm listening carefully. I am listening. Go on.
So what I'm saying is this, and this was more metaphorical. Muslim Americans are twice as mad as any other American because so they're not attacking America, but they're also attacking our religion, and we feel strongly, Muslim Americans, that they have hijacked the religion.
You know how to
completely hijack the religion, and now we have to actually, because of these idiots and terrorists.
You want to back it up? Get your Martin Luther King and your Jesse Jackson.
That's what I was just about ready to say.
Isn't this where we?
Because without it,
got stuck last week.
It's just a bunch of people chit-chatting in a hallway when the game is in the room. The good Muslims are not in the game. They're not in the game, sir.
Yeah,
so I mean, so there is no. So I'll agree. There is no Martin Luther King, but even Martin Luther King, it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. I mean, 9/11 happened. Remember, 11 years ago, and slavery happened for how long before Martin Luther King happened?
What you think he was the first one? What you don't know about Harriet Tubman? What about Harriet Tubman sneaking those people out? She was sneaking those people out at the risk of death. No. You don't listen. Don't try to pretend you have something you don't. When you get it,
I don't think
the world will know when you have it.
You can't.
Gentlemen, may I say something before we close up?
Go ahead, IQ.
One sec, guys.
Doctor, we have a situation.
But somebody else is talking to
Yeah,
let Jonathan finish. Let Jonathan finish. He was in the middle. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Sorry, I didn't hear him. Go on.
Thank you. Nobody can make a serious argument that one would expect people of goodwill and intelligence to take seriously that there has been anything remotely like a important, ongoing, critical damnation and response of this brutality, whether you claim it's fundamental to Islam or hijacked from Islam. You know, for me, it almost doesn't matter because I like biblical scholarship. I've done some of it, but you know what? These people want to kill me and my family because we just happen to be born Jews. You know, they just do. And they want to kill Coptic Christians. And you know what? To even suggest that it's been only 13 years since the towers went down, since I had to tell two 12-year-old boys that their dad was on the plane that smacked into the Pentagon. I had to tell them. All right, they had it worse than I did. So did their mom, no doubt. But I got to tell you, that's going to stay with me till the day I leave this planet, having to tell 12-year-old twins that their dad was getting on that plane for L.A. and it was turned around and it smashed into the Pentagon. I told them that. It was my job. I did my job. But to even suggest that it's only been 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, and there has been no, and IQ says, well, it's fear. Well, I got to tell you, I can't, if IQ is right that it's fear, I can't take a religious or a non-religious culture who will simply shut the hell up in the face of what's been going on simply because they have no sack.
You know, I have to agree with Jonathan because, you know, like I said, you know, I lost a very dear friend of mine on the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. You know, and many of us on this panel have a very, very close tie to what happened on 9/11. And
Doctor,
Trump
would you stipulate it's a watermark?
But what I'm saying,
it's a fair watermark to say it was quite a concentrated evil. There's lots of evil in the world, but going into Manhattan, taking that down, knowing we're the link to the entire Western machine, and then the gross innocence of flying out of the building, that's a watermark, or that's exaggerating and being hypersensitive?
No, it's, you know,
it's a watermark? If it's a watermark, then how do you answer for a watermark? That's what I'm trying to say. If it is a new height of modern evil, what is the correct response? Why are all of us on the panel begging to find the response? IQ may be telling us it's not coming, but why are we so...
So, you know, the closer you are to the tragedy, the more you feel it. So all Americans feel bad. And then those who are in New York probably feel even worse. Those who are in Manhattan feels worse. And those who are related or knew these victims feel worse. Yes. So I think, so I don't think every single American feels the same way. So I think it's the closer you are to this tragedy, the stronger you feel.
But doctor,
it's begging the question.
I will also.
Yes, go ahead.
I will also say that I'm also I know very close friends who were killed by these butchers. My college mate that we just ate and slept with, and not slept with, but you know how we eat together and sleepovers and whatnot. He was killed by these people simply because who he was, and so I have also
so does it surprise you
about these butchers? So I have no.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised no one leaked it and sabotaged it? That everybody went along? That all the coordination, staying in Daytona Beach, going to the flight lessons, that there was nobody who freaked out, dropped a dime, out of loyalty to humanity, out of decency, maybe not the 19, but somebody drove them. Somebody, got them a passport. Somebody got him a piece. Somebody said, all right, I'll give you this, but I'm not involved. I'm not knocking any buildings down, but I hate those bastards. I'll help you. But no one dropped a dime. Now, in America, they drop a dime every day. They drop a dime every day in America. They want to be famous. They want to be the reformer. They want to be the whistleblower. Nobody on that side dropped a dime. That's not an indictment? Yes or no? An indictment?
No, it is not. But it is indictment on those who did it. So it has to be more than those 19 people. So that's very clear.
I accept it. You're a believer. I accept it. You're a believer. You're a believer, Doctor, aren't you? Aren't you subject to your beliefs? Haven't you submitted to the beliefs that you have vis-a-vis the Quran? When you told us that story earlier about how you feel about the Quran, haven't you submitted yourself to what you believe the Quran and Allah is all about? Haven't you given yourself over to that?
I have changed my opinions and views that I held before reading the Quran.
I meant submit. I used the word submit. Did you submit? Have you submitted yourself? You submitted yourself, did you not?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Because I am so grateful to you for being on. Because IQ has worked alone for a year with all annoying people like me, talk show people. But we all have a reason. You're my reason. I am so grateful. You were made available to me by a service that I'm going to go do a talk at that service to meet more people like you. Because you're valuable. So I'm grateful. But I must say to you, I am in a different camp. My camp, we don't believe anything. We really don't believe anything. There are no moral codes for us. We believe nothing. We live like the Nat Geo channel. We understand how it works. We stay in the lines, inside the lines, for self-interest. We have belief in nothing. There are no benevolent humans. There are no benevolent ideas. Nothing. It's just water, competition for resources, and global warming is a function of the universe. We're getting sucked into the earth. I think that we romanticize it because it's very depressing to think that we're just crawling around like other species. But God bless you, because I got to go. I got a show coming up. I'll let you guys wrap up on your own. God bless Jonathan. This is one of the most articulate people. IQ is a missionary who came to this network and did a great job because it ended up in this today. I have a tape. I will be playing it forever and ever. I hope we all speak again, but I have to go. But I would have to tell you how grateful I am for your patience with us, Dr. Naqvi. All right, I got to go. Take care.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Nice talking to you.
Everybody else is still in. Bye.
All right, IQ, you had something real quick, and then we're going to play the news.
It's a very simple one. The doctor said he's a believer. I have absolutely no doubt about it. My contention with him is Allah the same as the God of the Bible? I can prove that Allah is not the same as the God of the Bible. And I would love to have a meet with him, not in 2 weeks' time because I'll be going away, maybe in 4 weeks' time if it's available, to discuss this subject, if he wants.
We'll leave it at that, and we'll all meet back here in 1 month. And Doctor, you are more than welcome to come back.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you again,
all right,
everybody.
So let me, if you actually shoot me a quick email, and I'll put it on my calendar.
There we go. I will, either myself or Ed will do that. All right, everybody. It's time. Guess what? Yeah, time for me to get out of here. Stay tuned, because coming up right after NPR News, Ed Tyll will be with you till 4 o'clock. Until tomorrow, 6 a.m., this is Bob Williams. Take care of yourselves.